represent injured workers, so that should say enough. But let's be more specific. Back in the early 1900s, there was something called the baseball's sad lexicon, and that was the double play combination of Tinker to Evers to Chance. A lot of people may have heard of it. Younger people probably haven't. In the 2020s in California anyway, it's workers' comp's sad lexicon, and that is MPN to UR to IMR. It's the MPN. Who is in, what physicians are in the MPN? And then they put those treatment requests by those doctors through utilization review, which is again selected by the employer/insurance company. The denial rate is astounding. It's astounding that these doctors who are handpicked for the MPNs that are then reviewed by utilization review, the treatment is denied, and then it gets upheld by IMR, which is independent medical review. So when you look at it, you have a 90% denial rate that IMR has when it reviews UR from doctors who are hand selected in the medical provider networks of the employers. Examples of some of these denials include there's insufficient information, therefore there's no medical necessity, or the treatment in the past did not work, therefore there is no medical necessity. That doesn't make sense. There are peer-to-peer reviews which take place. Oftentimes, the call is made to the doctor at 5 p.m. on a Friday. That doesn't work. These UR decisions can be contradictory and do not require or have the requisite information in order to make an informed decision. We want the best treatment for injured workers so we can get them back to work. We can only do that when we have a system that doesn't deny just on a basis of chance. It reminds me of the phrase, follow the money, which came from the movie All the President's Men, follow the money. Unfortunately, when we are following the money, we are not getting to the substance of what we're trying to do here. This is the workers' compensation system, not the attorney's compensation system, not the insurance company's compensation system, not the employer's compensation system. And when you follow the money, what ends up happening is there's a lack of flexibility. That's where antagonism comes in. No flexibility. There's a win at all costs mentality. And it usually doesn't start that way, but something just sets it off. When we set off this follow the money, win at all costs, no flexibility, it ends up hurting our whole system. The insurance companies, the employers, and the injured workers, and everyone who are associated with them. We lose sight of what medical treatment should be. When we're trying to manage things too closely, when we're trying to contain costs, we lose sight of what we're trying to do. And if we can manage the treatment effectively, we can keep costs down. But when you start getting antagonistic, guess what? Egos take over. You can find a way to justify anything. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to focus on the treatment, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. And we're here to make sure that people can get back to work, can get better, and that we are not contributing to their downfall. We have to remove antagonism. We have to focus on the ball and what our goal is. When you start looking at the realities of, what we're doing, everyone's got a job. Everyone's got, one person's trying to save money one way. One person has pressure to bill hours. One person has pressure to, get a good settlement for their clients. So that's what happens. This is a complicated question, but let me go through some quick solutions, or at least proposed solutions. Don't review medical provider network treatment requests. Those are doctors who are chosen by the employer or the insurance company. Have some faith in them. Let them do their thing. Secondly, if utilization review is denying treatment, then make some recommendations on what treatment should be in its place. That's important. We can't just deny treatment without trying to figure out a better solution for the injured worker. And I know that may take more time and more money, but so be it. It'll save money in the long term. Set up a medical treatment review judge, someone who can review these things. So in California, we're stuck with this administrative process through independent medical review. Allow agreed medical examiners or independent medical reviewers who are truly independent to look at the treatment request. We can't do that here in California because we have UR and IMR, managed medical care. Pursue audits. When there's a lot of denials, figure out what's going on. Put the pressure on the people who are denying it to be transparent and to make sure that things are focused on the best interests of the injured worker.
When we negotiated the workers' comp reforms, it really was based on research and evidence within the system that treatment decisions were not only, there was over-treatment, but there was under-treatment and sometimes very bad treatment that was being provided to workers. So much so that there were surgeries being done with hardware that was developed in the garage. You know, there was people that had had 7 or 8 surgeries to their back and had were coming to us to complain that they weren't getting better. So that was kind of what was driving. And we did do a lot of research on evidence-based care. What was the best evidence-based treatment protocols, what was the most rigorously conducted, and that's how we came to making recommendations that treatment protocols were in order and needed to be updated regularly. And then there was a paradigm change in California that really determined that that judges couldn't really make decisions over care, and that we needed independent medical reviews, such as what is done by Maximus in California and in group health, to really make independent decisions about the treatment based on evidence-based medicine. I think also another important point is we were able to bring together both labor and management in making these changes to the system. There was the parties were ordinarily one would think have opposite interests, were able to come together with the goal of improving care, increasing benefits, and reducing friction out of the system. So this was really a major accomplishment to bring labor and management together to make the decisions to improve the system in California. And I believe those are the 2 key parties that should continue to make the trade-offs and the decisions about improving the system. I think overall, it was positive because labor and management had to make those tough decisions, and benefits were increased significantly, and areas of care were improved significantly. So those 2 are really the key stakeholders in the workers' comp system. They created the system. They should continue to monitor whether it is making an impact and improving the care for workers. I don't know that anyone else can do that in the same way that those 2 key stakeholders can. The reforms are lasting. This is the first time really in the history that the reforms have lasted so long. Usually reforms take 1 or 2 years and then they get appended. And these reforms have been lasting, and they continue to make improvements to the system. Workers return to work. Of course, with the pandemic, everything has changed somewhat, but it is a good thing that these measures were put in place so that we continue to do evidence-based medicine. Antagonism on the part of the employer or on part of the worker, really this should be a partnership to getting people returned back into the workplace as soon as appropriate. The care should be delivered in a expeditious manner and appropriate manner, and reducing the litigation and contention is really the goal so that the worker can return to work quickly to as close to his initial state as possible. The only way that we can bridge that gap is through studies, evidence. I think the studies can demonstrate that the system is working for the majority of workers, and that there's always opportunities for improvement. And I think we continue to study the system, monitor the system, and from there can make informed decisions about what changes are needed.